On December 1st, 2021, just 2 months following the end of a 100-loss season, new general manager of the Texas Rangers, Chris Young, introduced the pillars of this team's future: Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. These two MVP-caliber stars represented just a portion of the $800+ million committed to free agents over the course of 2 off-seasons. An incredibly risky project considering their record over these 2 years. However, the motivation behind these signings outweighed the risks. Motivation that can be summed up by a 4-word phrase: we're sick of losing. These 4 words were the underlying basis of a vision used to persuade some of baseball's best players to sign for one of baseball's worst teams. What was this vision? Winning the first championship in Texas Rangers history.
It's tied! And the legend grows! The Texas Rangers win the World Series!
Although this championship represented more than just a historically successful rebuild, what you're actually witnessing is decades of heartbreak coming to a permanent end. Or, as ESPN's Tim Kurkjian put it, finally the Rangers are winning. To truly appreciate that, you had to be there for the losing.
There's one. It is deep to right field, and that ball is going, and it is gone.
It's 1961. John F. Kennedy has begun his presidential term, Henry Aaron, Willie Mays, and Mickey Mantle are all in their prime, and 2 expansion teams were playing in their inaugural seasons: the Los Angeles Angels and Washington Senators, a team created in response to the original Senators franchise moving to Minnesota that same year. From 1961 to 1968, the Senators were not only the worst team in the American League, they were losing money and accumulating debt. So, in 1968, the team was sold to former LA Lakers owner Bob Short. Immediately, he made himself the GM and convinced Hall of Famer Ted Williams to manage the team in order to inject some life into a deprived fan base. Despite Williams' friend warning him that the Senators were so bad that Williams will have the urge to pinch hit, the 1969 Senators finished over 500, attendance nearly doubled, and Williams was named the manager of the year. Oh, and Bob Short lost $600,000. The following year, this team returned to their losing ways, and Short declared a loss of $1 million. So, in an effort to revitalize this team ahead of the 1971 season, the Senators traded for 2-time Cy Young winner Denny McLain, who was suspended for much of the 1970 season as the result of gambling and bringing a gun on the Tigers team plane. Nonetheless, Short ignored these misdeeds, saying, "I had to do something. I'm going broke." Unsurprisingly, it didn't work, and the Senators' downward spiral continued. So why was Short saying he was going broke? Well, remember when I said he was the former Lakers owner? Short actually bought the team when they were in Minneapolis, but he moved them to LA. In 1965, he sold the Lakers for over $5 million, and then bought the Senators in 1968 for $9.4 million. But he had to borrow money at high interest rates to complete the purchase. In August 1971, Short said he needed more than $3 million, and if he were to sell the team, he wanted over $12 million to cover his purchase price and losses. As Sports Illustrated put it, Robert Short paid too much and he wanted out. However, no one was interested at Short's asking price, and the city wasn't interested in giving taxpayer money for stadium renovations. So Short began to look elsewhere.
Here is a WWDC Sports Bulletin. Fred, the Washington Senators are leaving. In special session, American League owners have just authorized the Major League Baseball team shift to Arlington, Texas, between Dallas and Fort Worth. The vote was 10-2 for the move. 9 affirmative votes were needed. A week from Thursday, September 30th, then, at Robert F. Kennedy Stadium, will mark the end of the 71-year history of the Washington Senators.
For the second time in less than 15 years, Washington, D.C. had lost their baseball team. As Washington Post columnist Shirley Povich put it, Short jacked up ticket prices to a league high, fielded a last-place roster while the World Series contending Orioles played 40 miles away, and did this all while billing his own team for the use of his private jet. DC baseball fans were fed up. So during the team's final game on September 30th, 1971, with 2 outs in the top of the 9th, fans stormed the field.
The players now are clearing the field as pandemonium is broken loose and the field is filled with many souvenir hunters. Police are trying to restore order, but the crowd continues to mill all around the field.
3 decades later, Washington, D.C. got a new team, but it was at the cost of baseball in Montreal. Perhaps Montreal will get a new team sooner than D.C., as by the time the Nationals started playing in 2005, the Texas Rangers were entering their 34th season. But those 3 decades were defined by disappointment. In fact, 15 years later, when the Nationals won their first championship, the Rangers' title drought had stretched to 59 years, dating back to their DC days. Rewinding back to the Rangers' inaugural season, despite moving to play under the Texas sunshine, the stench of Bob Short lingered for a couple more years. In fact, after their 54-win inaugural season, manager Ted Williams finally had enough. Or as pitcher Mike Paul put it, "We were so bad, we made the world's greatest hitter quit." Fortunately, Short was 1 year away from selling the team. But in one last desperate bid to generate interest, Short insisted that 18-year-old pitcher David Clyde, the #1 overall pick in the 1973 draft, forego the minor leagues entirely and make 2 big league starts. Well, Clyde, who scouts billed as the next Sandy Koufax, held his own, and his first start was the first sellout in Rangers history. So the decision was made to keep Clyde in the majors, but the rest of his rookie season was riddled with inconsistency. 2 years later, in 1975, following a shoulder injury, Clyde was finally demoted to the minor leagues. By the end of the decade, Clyde was out of pro baseball for good. Dallas Morning News columnist Randy Galloway called the case of David Clyde one of the greatest mishandlings of a young player ever, and a graphic example of what greed and selfishness can do. Fortunately, the source of that greed was gone ahead of the 1974 season, as Bob Short sold the team to businessman Brad Corbett. Also, in what I'm sure was completely coincidental, the 1974 Rangers ended the season with their first record over 500. However, at the time, the playoffs were reserved for division winners, so the Rangers missed out by 5 games. The Rangers remained stuck in a hole of mediocrity over the next couple years, which led team owner Brad Corbett to announce his intentions of selling the team. In fact, the straw that broke the camel's back was a 1-0 loss against the Royals on July 4th, 1977, where after the game, Corbett exclaimed, "I'm selling this team because it's killing me." He didn't sell the team until 1980, but following this rant, the Rangers' record through the rest of the season was the second best in the league. Who placed above them? The Royals. And take a guess on who finished first in the division. Between 1977 and 1993, the Rangers finished in second place 5 times. But the most peculiar and perhaps most unfortunate second place finish came in 1981. 2 months into the season, the players went on strike, halting the season until August, which created a dilemma concerning the playoff structure as players were coming off a 2-month cooldown period. In response, the team owners voted on a split season plan, where the division winners of both the first and second halves qualify for the playoffs. The most notorious consequence of this unique structure was how the Cincinnati Reds owned the league's best record, but didn't make the playoffs as they failed to win their division. As for the Rangers, they too failed to win their division. But in the first half, they weren't far off, as when the players' strike halted play, the Rangers were only 1.5 games behind the Oakland A's. To achieve the dream goal of creating a multi-year playoff window, it takes a combination of preparation, consistency, and luck, with that final quality playing a major role. Among this team's 5 second-place finishes between 1977 and 1993, that 1977 team was not only the best by winning percentage, their 94-win record would have clinched the AL West through most of the 1970s, but definitely not 1977. As for 1981, maybe in a normal season, the Rangers continued their first half form and propelled themselves into first place. Unfortunately, the players' strike prevented us from ever finding out, adding to the many questions surrounding this era of Rangers baseball. Now, you may be wondering why I keep using the 1993 season as an endpoint. Well, that's because the 1994 season was set to change the league landscape forever. How, you may ask?
Like a lot of things in life, you anticipate something and fear that it's coming, hope that it isn't, and when the day is here, there's an incredible amount of sadness.
That's right, division realignment and playoff expansion. After the National League added 2 teams in 1993, bringing the total of MLB teams to 28, owners gave preliminary approval to expand each league's number of divisions from 2 to 3. Also, they supported the addition of another playoff team per league in addition to the 3 division winners, doubling the number of playoff teams from 4 to 8. In January 1994, the plan was approved by both the owners and players union. Interestingly, there was one team owner who consistently voiced his displeasure for these plans: Rangers owner George W. Bush. His complaints were both financial and sports related, but ultimately it boiled down to preserving the game's tradition. I represent the silent voices of baseball purists. History will prove I was right. Ironically, if these new rules applied in 1993, the Rangers would have made the playoffs for the first time. Instead, this team is best remembered for Nolan Ryan's legendary fight with Robin Ventura and Jose Canseco allowing a home run off his head. Not only that, a few days later, Canseco pitched in a blowout loss against the Red Sox, where he not only injured his arm, but needed season-ending Tommy John surgery. Certainly an eventful season for the Rangers, but not one without promise for the future. Behind a great offense led by Rafael Palmeiro, Juan Gonzalez, and Ivan Rodriguez, among others, this 86-win team stood to benefit from playoff expansion. Combine this promising team with the opening of a new stadium, the 1994 Rangers had the potential to open a new, prosperous chapter in team history. But it wasn't meant to be.
Now all that's left is for you to take your seat in history. For today's players will soon be here.
At Wrigley, the Cubs hosting the Giants. Wrigley, different kind of atmosphere there. Well, a lot of people, there was a foul atmosphere. They don't want baseball to leave.
Well, it is now official. No more regular season, no extended version of the playoffs, and for the first time since 1904, no World Series, Brendan.
On August 12, 1994, the Players Union began a strike that grinded the season to a halt. Back in January 1994, when the owners and players agreed to both realignment and playoff expansion, there was no active labor agreement between the owners and players, signaling the possibility of a players' strike down the line. However, unlike 1981, this strike resulted in the cancellation of the season, not only ending the first-place Rangers playoff hopes, but marking the second time a potential Rangers playoff berth was diverted by a players' strike. Although this time around, the Rangers weren't exactly a good team, as they sat 10 games under 500, and they weren't much better when the league reopened in 1995. At what point will this team actually have something go their way? Well, fortunately, their first taste of success was just around the corner.
Let us pause for a moment. See how the Rangers react to this.
They don't know what to do.
The Rangers are the American League Western Division champions, the first time in 25 years. They come out to thank the fans, and despite this one, the Rangers say thank you.
After 25 seasons in Texas, the Rangers could finally call themselves division champions. Of course, the celebration occurred after a loss because, according to longtime team broadcaster Eric Nadel, nothing came easy for the Rangers, a sentiment that reigned true in their ALDS matchup against the Yankees. Despite a historic series from AL MVP Juan Gonzalez, the Rangers displayed an inability to hold on to their leads, ultimately resulting in their demise and the Yankees' 23rd championship. 2 years later, it was the same story.
Ground ball to second, Knobloch, the Yankees sweep.
fittingly with a throw, and the Yankees have done it again. Number 24. They are the world champions of baseball in 1998.
This Yankees team won 4 championships between the late 90s and early 2000s, marking this period as the absolute worst time for an American League contender. For example, the 1999 Rangers won 95 games, the most in team history at the time, only for their season to end at the hands of the Yankees in the ALDS for the 3rd time in 4 years. At this point, the Yankees were an unbeatable powerhouse on their way to becoming a dynasty. 1996 was the one real opportunity the Rangers had to compete for a championship in this era, and they blew it. As former Ranger Mark McLemore put it, "We should have beaten the Yankees, absolutely. We had the team to beat them." Although the impact of that 1996 run can't be understated. Over 50,000 Rangers fans attended games 3 and 4, as others camped outside for the opportunity to purchase World Series tickets. According to Eric Nadel, this was the unveiling of Dallas-Fort Worth as a baseball town. Still, by 2000, the highs of 1996 were long gone, as the Rangers were a 71-win team. How could this team possibly compete in a league ruled by the Yankees dynasty? Well, for new owner Tom Hicks and GM Doug Melvin, it was simple: acquire baseball's best player. At 10 years and $252 million, superstar shortstop Alex Rodriguez had not only signed the largest contract in American sports history, this contract surpassed the $250 million price tag Tom Hicks paid for the Rangers franchise a few years earlier. However, because of deferred salary, Hicks claimed the present-day value of this deal was about $180 million, which provided ample room for the Rangers to surround A-Rod with talented players. Overall, the Rangers envisioned immense success in their near future with Rodriguez as the face of the franchise. As A-Rod's agent Scott Boras put it, this marks the day in which the Rangers will begin to gain national prominence for the franchise. Well, about that.
New Yorker. The Yanks reintroducing their new acquisition to the public at a news conference today. Manager Joe Torre and team captain Derek Jeter on hand to welcome the man many consider to be the best baseball player there is, presenting him with his new pinstripe jersey, number Lucky 13.
Following 3 straight losing seasons, it became clear the financial commitment to Rodriguez was too great to bear. Between 2001 and 2003, the Rangers surrounded Rodriguez with veterans Rafael Palmeiro, Juan Gonzalez, Chan-Ho Park, and Ivan Rodriguez, resulting in some lofty payrolls, including a top 3 payroll in 2002. However, as future GM John Daniels said years later, there wasn't a continuing commitment to build a sustainable core around Rodriguez. As a result, he was dealt to the Yankees, along with around $67 million for all-star infielder Alfonso Soriano and top 100 prospect Joaquin Arias. Fun fact, Arias was on a list of 5 players the Rangers chose from to pair with Soriano. One of these players was future 8-time All-Star Robinson Cano. Overall, the whole A-Rod Rangers experiment was a disaster, with both Rodriguez and Hicks expressing regrets years later for the deal ever taking place. Although, when Hicks made this statement in October 2010, not only was he no longer the owner of the Rangers, he had sold the Rangers, the Dallas Stars, and Liverpool. However, fans of all of these teams were glad to watch Hicks's downfall, a debacle that stemmed from his company, Hicks Sports Group, defaulting on $525 million in loans in 2009. As a result, the decision was made to sell the Rangers, and in January 2010, it was announced a group led by team president Nolan Ryan and attorney Chuck Greenberg had bought the team. However, the sale stalled over the subsequent months, causing the Rangers to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now, unlike Chapter 7 bankruptcy, the most common form of the practice, Chapter 11 simply allows a business to maintain day-to-day operations while making a plan to repay creditors. Meaning, this was done to expedite the sales process, which led to Ryan and Greenberg winning an auction for the team with a bid of $593 million. $385 million of this bid was in cash, while the remaining $208 million represented the acquisition of the team's debt. So why does this matter? Well, the team owed money to not only financial institutions, but individual creditors as well. This list included many big leaguers, with the highest debt being owed to, you guessed it, Alex Rodriguez, who was owed $24.9 million in deferred compensation. Rodriguez was far from the sole reason for this team's debt, but this contract symbolized an era of unrealized potential. In short, the failures of this era are summarized in one statement by Hicks. "The mistake I made with the Rangers was I tried to catch up with the Yankees." So now you understand why, in October 2010, Hicks said signing A-Rod was one of the dumb things he did in his career. However, that same month, the Rangers had not only finally caught up with the Yankees, they surpassed them.
Feliz gets over there. As played by Moreland. The Texas Rangers are American League champions.
By striking out Alex Rodriguez, the 2010 Rangers had clinched their first World Series berth in franchise history. Even with the off-field financial circus happening in the background, this team produced their best season since 1999. Although it took years of painstaking rebuilding to reach this moment. The fallout of the A-Rod trade didn't result in immediate disaster, as the 2004 Rangers won 89 games, but the results of 2004 and 2005 remained the same. No playoffs. Still, there were a few players with real potential to be part of this team's future. The middle infield duo of Alfonso Soriano and Michael Young, along with third baseman Hank Blaylock, provided all-star level production, resulting in 5-year deals for both Young and Blaylock. However, after the 2005 season, Soriano was traded by the team's new 28-year-old general manager, John Daniels. The players in return didn't do much for the Rangers, but the Soriano deal did have a silver lining, as it allowed a new face to take over at second base, Ian Kinsler. Proving to be a perfect foundational piece, the Rangers offered Kinsler a 5-year, $22 million extension before the 2008 season. In contrast to the early 2000s, this Rangers team was set on building a playoff-caliber foundation using homegrown talent, as seen with their number 4 ranked farm system at the beginning of the 2008 season. A farm system that was reaping the benefits of a superstar trade from mid-2007. Through much of the mid-2000s, Mark Teixeira was the face of the Texas Rangers. Between 2003 and 2006, Teixeira hit over 140 doubles and home runs, joining Albert Pujols as the only players to do this in the first 4 seasons of a career. This historic level of production earned Pujols a 7-year, $100 million contract after his 3rd season. So, to keep Teixeira, the Rangers would have to cough up something similar. Weeks before the 2007 trade deadline, Teixeira was offered a 7-year, $127.5 million extension that was set to come into effect following his final arbitration season, making this deal worth $140 million over 8 years. This deal was rejected. Teixeira once believed he, Michael Young, and Hank Blaylock were going to win championships together. But, as Teixeira pointed out, most World Series teams have a mix of young, cheap stars before veterans are brought in to balance out the roster. So, considering the mediocre Rangers possessed one of the league's worst farm systems heading into the 2007 season, trading Teixeira was the logical starting point for a rebuild. At the end of July 2007, the Rangers dealt Teixeira to the Braves for a package of 5 players, including 3 top 100 prospects: Jared Saltalamacchia, Elvis Andrus, and Matt Harrison. While Saltalamacchia was gone by the Rangers' 2010 playoff run, a different player from this deal took his place: Neftali Feliz, the man who struck out Alex Rodriguez to eliminate the Yankees. Ironically, the team who signed Mark Teixeira to an 8-year, $180 million deal the year prior. The trade of Teixeira laid the foundation for this team's future playoff window, but it wasn't the only trade that transformed the Rangers into contenders. Near the 2006 trade deadline, the Rangers decided to bolster their roster with the acquisition of slugger Carlos Lee. While he became a free agent after the season, the Rangers acquired someone else in that deal, Nelson Cruz, who by 2009 had turned into an all-star power hitter. In fact, there was another all-star outfielder on that 2009 team who was acquired via trade, but by 2010, he was more than an all-star. He was an MVP. In December 2007, the Rangers traded for Cincinnati Reds outfielder Josh Hamilton. 3 years later, he won the American League MVP, producing arguably the best offensive season in Rangers history. An incredible accomplishment, especially considering the arduous road he'd been on for the prior decade. A former #1 overall pick in 1999, Hamilton spent many years fighting a brutal drug and alcohol addiction that kept him out of pro baseball through the mid-2000s, until his reinstatement in June 2006. He made his big league debut in 2007, providing an impressive 90-game stint for the Reds. After this season, he was traded to the Rangers, where he produced a breakout all-star year in 2008, solidifying his place on this up-and-coming roster, a roster that began to showcase its elite potential in 2009. With this 87-win season under their belt and the riches of an elite farm system to look forward to, 2010 was set to be the year the Rangers take that next step forward towards that elusive first championship. Well, if there was any indication of how the 2010 season was going to play out, look no further than opening day.
Nelson Cruz hits it in the air, right center field. That ball takes off to the track, to the wall. Did it! Gone! 3-run home run! With 2 on, 1 out here. He'll loop it into right field. Tie ball game. Nelson Cruz a double. Ball game! Welcome to 2010!
From day one, this team showcased an ability to fight, as represented by their rally cry, claw and antlers, with the claw symbolizing a good play and antlers symbolizing speed. Not only did this embody the team's camaraderie, but also the dynamic nature of their offense. An offense that featured a power-hitting trio of Hamilton, Cruz, and Vladimir Guerrero, as well as the contact-hitting trio of Kinsler, Young, and Andrus. As manager Ron Washington described this group, "We don't wait around for a 3-run homer. We play baseball. If we need to steal a bag and get something started, we can do that. Whatever the style of that day may be, we can adapt to it." With the Rangers sitting in first place at the All-Star break, an upgrade at the trade deadline could have elevated this offense even more. But after comparing the different facets of this team, it was clear finding a starting pitcher to sit alongside Colby Lewis and CJ Wilson was the main priority. The biggest name on the market was Mariners ace Cliff Lee, with upwards of 15 teams interested in his services. However, having just recently declared bankruptcy, the Rangers wanted the Mariners to cover Lee's remaining 2010 salary, a demand the Mariners partially accepted, but it cost the Rangers their best prospect, Justin Smoke. While a huge price to pay for a player who was set to become a free agent after the season, as the 1990s Rangers proved, opportunities at baseball immortality can't be taken for granted. With this team possessing the league's 3rd best record after the trade deadline, they had a golden opportunity to achieve something never done in franchise history. So, why not go for it?
The AL West title flag will fly in Arlington, Texas. Ball game.
Really got an opportunity here with the Rangers.
It's a fly ball out to center field. B.J. Upton going back towards the track at the wall, and that ball is gone. Kinsler in the air to left field. Carl Crawford going back. That is up and it is gone. A 2-run home run for Ian Kinsler. And the Texas Rangers take a 5-1 lead. He is under it. He puts it away. The Texas Rangers have won a postseason series for the first time in franchise history.
catcher looks up, and it's gone. Deep right by Hamilton. Back toward that wall, and the Rangers are on the board. In that series. And this ball is driven along the line and left. It's deep by the pole, and that ball is gone. Hit hard to center. Anderson back. He won't get there. 1 run scores. Here comes the fourth. There will be no throw to the plate. 2. That ball is drilled. Anderson on his horse. That ball is gone. The Texas Rangers are American League champions.
The 2-0 is hit high in the air to left center field. Back is Murphy on the run. 3-run home run Renteria. Here it is. Struck him out. And for the first time since 1954, the Giants are world champions.
Rangers fans could only watch as the team squandered their opportunity at greatness on baseball's biggest stage. Ultimately, given the volatile nature of playoff baseball, momentum plays a huge role in the overall outcome, and despite the Rangers beginning the series as favorites, the Giants were riding a wave of momentum the Rangers couldn't match. Simply put, the Rangers fell flat at the worst possible time. However, as the pain of the loss withered away, optimism for the future took its place. With the establishment of a new ownership group and a contending roster that just gained invaluable postseason experience, as ESPN's Jim Reeves put it, this wasn't an ending for the Texas Rangers. Instead, it was a beginning. The Rangers began the offseason with the easy decision of re-signing manager Ron Washington. The tougher decisions laid ahead in free agency, specifically regarding the future of Cliff Lee. Although, between the new ownership group's willingness to spend, the playoff revenue from their unexpected World Series run, and the annual financial windfall from their new $1.6 billion TV deal, it shouldn't be shocking to hear Chuck Greenberg say that re-signing Lee was the universal plan A. However, when Lee decided to rejoin the Phillies, the Rangers moved on to plan B. Third baseman Adrian Beltre was coming off a career year where he not only showcased his elite defense, but also an offensive prowess he hadn't displayed since 2004. There was mutual interest between the Rangers and Beltre, but initially he had his eyes set on a different AL West team, the LA Angels. Simply put, the Angels needed a third baseman, and Beltre lived close by. It was a perfect match, until the Angels decided to stand firm on their 5-year, $70 million proposal, allowing the Rangers to swoop in with a 6-year, $96 million contract. Now here's where it gets interesting. As a result of not signing Beltre or any of their other big targets, the Angels traded for Blue Jays outfielder Vernon Wells and his $86 million contract, parting ways with a player who had been coveted by the Rangers for years, catcher Mike Napoli. A few days later, the Blue Jays traded him to Texas, marking the final major move of an eventful offseason. Sure, the Rangers couldn't follow through with their plan A, but to say plan B was an acceptable backup plan was an understatement. Unexpectedly, both Napoli and Beltre ended the 2011 season as the team's best hitters, trailing only Ian Kinsler in terms of WAR. Then, once you factor in the contributions of Josh Hamilton, Elvis Andrus, and Michael Young, you realize you're looking at not only one of the best offenses of 2011, but also one of the best offenses in team history. While not the absolute best in terms of OPS+, this 2011 team had something the 2008 team didn't: elite pitching. Led by Cy Young candidate C.J. Wilson, this rotation featured 3 breakout stars: Matt Harrison, Derek Holland, and Alexio Gondo, along with a dependable starter in Colby Lewis. In fact, the 2011 Rangers are still one of only 3 teams since 2000 to have 5 pitchers throw over 160 innings and each possess an ERA plus of at least 100. The other 2 teams were the 100-win 2005 Cardinals and the 2016 champion Chicago Cubs. Combine this rotation with an elite offense, great defense, and a solid bullpen, and you get the most complete squad in Rangers history. However, regular season accomplishments don't guarantee playoff success. Excluding the 2011 Rangers, since 1972, 30 teams have produced both an OPS plus and ERA plus of at least 110 in the same season, making these teams some of the most well-rounded in modern baseball history. Of these 30 teams, 13 made it to the World Series, and only 7 of them won it all. So, as much as the Rangers were a favorite to win it all, this was far from a guarantee.
100 pitches hit high in the air to deep left field, sending Gentry back. The ball is high, deep, and gone.
In Game 1 of a 2010 ALDS rematch, the Rangers were outclassed in every possible way as they were shut out by Matt Moore, a rookie with 1 career big league start. As said before, momentum is king in the playoffs, and the Rays were fresh off their biggest win in team history. A thrilling comeback Game 162 victory that clinched their spot in the playoffs. So how much momentum did the Rays possess? Well, as ESPN's Tim Kurkjian put it, perhaps more than any team that has ever entered the postseason. So what could the Rangers do? Josh Hamilton had a perfect answer to that question. You come out tomorrow and try to take it away from them.
High drive up towards the upper deck and gone. The Texas Rangers have tied their series at 1 game apiece. Napoli hits it in the air to left field, sending Jennings back at the wall. That ball is gone. Jennings chops it towards second base. He and Kinsler to second, and the Texas Rangers are headed back to the American League Championship Series. The Texas Rangers win the pennant, 2nd consecutive year.
Not only did the Rangers strip the Rays of their momentum, they carried that momentum to a series win against the Tigers, and ultimately, their 2nd World Series berth in consecutive years. The first American League team to achieve this feat since the 90s dynasty Yankees. Each series had their own set of heroes, but Nelson Cruz was on a whole other level in the ALCS. Not only did he hit the first and only walk-off grand slam in postseason history, he became the first player to hit 6 or more postseason home runs in 2 different years. Cruz was absolutely deserving of his ALCS MVP, but if there was a group MVP award, it would have to go to the Rangers bullpen for stepping up in the midst of an unexpected slump the rotation was experiencing, bringing truth to a quote by ESPN's David Schoenfield. Baseball games aren't won by starting pitchers, they're won by teams, and the Rangers were a damn good one. But so was their opponent, the St. Louis Cardinals. Like the Rangers, their strength was their offense, with the headline trio of Albert Pujols, Matt Holliday, and Lance Berkman, along with a supporting cast of Alan Craig, Skip Schumacher, and David Freese, a guy Cardinals manager Tony La Russa called a big-time clutch hitter. Think of him as the Cardinals' own Nelson Cruz. Like 2010, the Rangers were considered the favorites, but this time around, the Rangers knew the job was far from over.
Pujols scores. Here comes Holiday. And the Cardinals lead 2-0 in the fourth of game one. As Napoli flies one into right, and this game is tied. And it's 2-2 in the fifth.
Mike Napoli's game-tying home run in Game 1 had a WPA of 24%. WPA, or win probability added, quantifies the percent change in a team's chances of winning from one event to the next by measuring the importance of a given plate appearance in the context of the game. In the case of Napoli's home run, the Rangers' win expectancy rose from 23% to 47%. So that equals a WPA of 24%. Which just so happened to be the largest WPA of the game. However, it wasn't the game's most important hit.
That is into right. Cruz will make a catch, and now it's dropped. One run scores, and the Cardinals lead 3-2.
The WPA of Alan Craig's pinch hit single fell short of Napoli's home run by about 6 percentage points because it wasn't as unexpected as Napoli's 2-run home run. But it still ultimately decided this game as the Rangers squandered their best opportunity to tie it up in the 7th inning, leading to a Cardinals 1-run win. Like the Rays in the ALDS, the Cardinals began the series with momentum on their side. But like the ALDS, the Rangers responded quickly with a 1-run win of their own in Game 2. With 2 close outcomes in a row, it became clear that any bit of unique leverage had the potential to alter the balance of this evenly matched series. Fortunately for the Rangers, they held an advantage for the next 3 games. Home field advantage, an environment they had great success in throughout 2011. But in Game 3, it was the Cardinals who massively benefited from this offense-friendly environment, as they became the 4th team ever to score at least 16 runs in a World Series game. Although, as impressive as a 16-run performance is, it still only counts as 1 loss.
Be aggressive, have fun, but if you're going to miss in, and make these hitters a little more uncomfortable. Texas in the 6th. In the air to right center field. 1-run scores. Here's Cruz, and it's 4-2 Texas in the 8th. This one gets away. Napoli has to finish it. He's done it all tonight, and the Rangers win Game 5.
The Cardinals may have gotten the 16-run win, but the Rangers responded with 2 4-run wins, and most importantly, they were just 1 win away from history. The fact the Rangers even won Game 5 was quite astounding, as they became just the 5th team since 1901 to allow at least 7 hits and 9 walks in a World Series game and still win. However, the story of this game goes deeper than stranded base runners. In the top of the 8th, with Octavio Dotel unable to pull off a 1-2-3 inning, manager Tony La Russa directed left-hander Mark Zepchinski to come in, and right-hander Jason Mott to play catch, just in case they needed him to warm up later in the inning. There were 2 possible plans in place depending on the result of David Murphy's at-bat. Pitch around Mike Napoli to face the left-handed Mitch Moreland, or bring in the right-handed Mott to face Napoli. So, after Murphy hit a ground ball off Zepchinski's glove to load the bases, the plan was to bring in Mott. Except, Mott wasn't warming up. Following Murphy's single, La Russa noticed Mott wasn't warming up, later stating his belief that bullpen coach Derek Lilliquist hung up the phone after hearing the request to bring in Zepchinski, but also before hearing the request to have Mott do some light throwing. So La Russa called a second time, but because of the deafening stadium noise, Lilliquist misheard La Russa and instead told Lance Lynn to warm up, who had thrown 47 pitches 2 nights before. Left with no choice, Sepchinski stayed in the game, resulting in a 2 RBI hit by the Rangers' hottest hitter, Mike Napoli. A true nightmare scenario for the Cardinals, a scenario inadvertently orchestrated by the 50,000 plus in attendance who wanted nothing more than to see their beloved Rangers win that elusive first championship. And now, the Rangers had the chance to do so in Game 6.
I don't care if the bullpen phones work or not. If the St. Louis Cardinals don't hit tonight, they're not going to win this game.
They've got to score first, get the crowd involved. You don't want to wait until the 5th or 6th inning and give Texas that advantage.
And the reason the Texas Rangers are up 3-2 is, for the most part, they've shut down the Cardinal hitters.
Originally set to take place on October 26th, but was postponed to the following day due to rain, both teams went into Game 6 with the goal of setting the tone, as through the first half of the game, neither team let a lead go unanswered for more than 1 inning. On multiple occasions, this game could have easily gotten out of hand, and it nearly did in the 6th inning.
Chopper to the first baseman, Young. He bobbles it. Everybody's safe.
In what could have resulted in an inning-ending double play, Michael Young's second error of the game kept the Cardinals' rally alive. 2 batters later, new pitcher Alexi Ogando walked Yadier Molina to tie the game, plummeting the Rangers' win expectancy from 45% to 29%. Simply put, the Rangers needed a hero.
Throw down to third, and out at third is Holiday.
But from his knees, Mike Napoli strikes again.
This clutch snap throw by Mike Napoli gave the Rangers a much-needed lifeline, as after Nick Punto was walked, Derek Holland delivered the final out. These are the types of plays that have the potential to change entire seasons. Although making this play is only half the job. The other half is capitalizing on it.
No pitch. Fly ball into right center. Back at the track. This ball is gone. High fly ball down the left field line. This ball is gone. The 8th home run this postseason for Nelson Cruz. There is a base hit into left center. Here comes Derek Holland. And it's a 7-4 Texas lead.
With a win probability of 94% following a 1-2-3 bottom of the 7th, the Rangers were just 6 outs away from their first championship. But the Cardinals were going to make sure these 6 outs were the toughest. Keeping up with the erratic nature of this series, Alan Craig hit a solo home run with only 1 out in the 8th. 2 batters later, Yadier Molina joined the action with a single. Then it was Daniel Descalso. And then John Jay, who could have earned himself an RBI if it was anyone but Yadier Molina rounding third base. Still, with the top of the order due to come up, in a series characterized by unpredictability, these fans wanted nothing more than to see one more big hit.
Jumps it back to Adams, and a quiet end to the 8th.
But it wasn't meant to be. And with a 92% chance of winning after the top of the 9th, the Rangers sent closer Neftali Feliz to get the most important final 3 outs in franchise history. However, to earn the biggest save of his career, Feliz needed to face 2 of the Cardinals' big 3, Pujols and Berkman. Well, after striking out Ryan Theriot, both Pujols and Berkman got on base, dropping the Rangers' win expectancy from 96% to 82%. Now, with a tying run on base, Alan Craig, who hit a home run in the previous inning, had the opportunity to become a team hero. But Feliz froze him, and now the outcome of this series rested on the shoulders of David Freese. As each pitch was thrown, more and more fans covered their faces, just hoping, praying for a miracle, while fans in Texas were on the edge of their seats, ready to burst into tears of joy to celebrate the end of a 40-year-long nightmare.
And now the Rangers are 1 strike away. Scores. Here comes Berkman. Freese has tied it. Unbelievable. 53.8%. That was the WPA of this hit, the 31st highest WPA shift in MLB playoff history.
And after Yadier Molina flew out, the win expectancy of each team was 50%. On a statistical level, it's like the previous 9 innings never happened, but on an emotional level, it was unquantifiable. The Rangers just let the biggest opportunity in franchise history slip through their fingers. However, as Josh Hamilton said after their Game 1 ALDS loss, the team couldn't dwell on this, as in a 50-50 game, momentum is the key to victory.
Remember, Hamilton has not gone deep yet in the postseason. That groin injury on the left side has sapped him of some of his strength. There's a shot into right, back at the track. At the wall, Hamilton has gone deep, and it's 9-7 Texas here in the 10th.
This hurts. This hurts. This hurts. This hurts. That's all Hamilton could think as he ran the bases due to the pain of the injuries he'd been battling throughout the postseason. Still, with one swing of the bat, Hamilton had kept the Rangers' title dreams alive. Yet, there's a reason why this home run isn't remembered as historic. In fact, it's barely remembered at all.
That ball is going to drop for a hit. This one is in the air. It gets over the head of Beltre and out at first as the bat bump by Loesch works out. Left side, coming to the plate, Descalso out at first. It's a 9-8 game, and the Texas native, Lance Berkman, will walk to the plate. Strike 2 on Berkman, and again the Cardinals are down to their last strike, and the Rangers are 1 strike away. In the air to right center. This game is tied. Freeze hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow night. And they have pushed this 2011 postseason to the final day, and it has been some kind of ride.
1 strike away. Those words were uttered not just once, but twice, and the Rangers couldn't finish the job. The Cardinals fans who couldn't bear to watch as David Freese represented their final out were cheering his name in the streets at the end of the night, while in Texas, people were speechless. The Rangers had ended the night on the losing end of one of the greatest games in World Series history. But if the Rangers pull off a Game 7 victory, Game 6 becomes nothing more than a blip in team history. Instead of turning into the most hated man in Dallas, David Freese becomes the man who delayed the Rangers' first championship by 24 hours. Sadly, that wasn't the case.
Both the Texas Rangers trying to put last night out of their memory, get 2 in the first half inning here in Game 7. Runners go on a shot into left center field. This is going to tie it. David Freese, what a roll. Gregg hits it in the air to right. The Cardinals have taken a Game 7 3-2 lead and a home run by Alan Craig. Second, here's a fly ball into left. Alan Craig will leap and make the catch. 2 out. Up the middle of base hit. Here comes Berkman, and it's 6-2 in the 7th. In the air to left, well hit. Back is Craig. What a team. What a ride. The Cardinals are world champs.
With the final catch of a ball, David Freese became a Cardinals hero and Rangers villain. The big hits from Nelson Cruz, Mike Napoli, and Josh Hamilton were relegated from franchise-altering highlights to negligible footnotes. The postponement of Game 6 created a what-if scenario that I'm sure Rangers fans toyed with in the years to follow. What if Game 6 was never postponed and took place on October 26th rather than the fateful day of October 27th? How much would have changed? Still, in the end, the Rangers were one strike away on 2 different occasions, and they blew it. You want to guess how many teams in MLB history were one strike away from their season ending and still ended up winning the championship? 2. The 2011 Cardinals and 1986 Mets. Take a look at this chart. This is the win probability chart of the entire 2011 World Series. Now, take a look at this section right here. That minute sliver of pixels symbolizes just how close the Rangers were to winning this series. To put it simply, a comeback of this magnitude isn't supposed to happen. This is the moment where the winning team is standing at the top step of the dugout, ready to burst onto the middle of the diamond and celebrate the culmination of not just a season's work, but a life's work. But it didn't happen. That's the bottom line. That's why you have to execute till the very last out is made. A quote by David Murphy, who ironically was the final out of the Rangers season. So, where do the Rangers go from here? Fortunately, much of their World Series core was set to return, except for one key player, C.J. Wilson. As the best pitcher on the free agent market, Wilson was set for a huge payday, which he got from the Angels, who also signed superstar Albert Pujols, setting the stage for an intriguing divisional race between the Angels and Rangers. But how were the Rangers going to address the loss of their ace? Well, they decided to take a bit of a risk by signing Japanese superstar Yu Darvish, committing over $100 million for his services. Adding Darvish's ace potential to this World Series level core solidified this team as not only contenders for 2012, but the foreseeable future as well. With 2 straight World Series appearances behind them and the riches of a #1 farm system in front of them, it seemed like it was only a matter of time until the Commissioner's Trophy made its way to Texas. However, projections are one thing, results are another.
Line off the glove of Andrews and into left. A run will score. Hamilton with the catch in center. And that'll score another Baltimore run as Robert Andino crosses the plate, and it is 5-1. Fly ball left field. Nate McLouth is there. And the magical season of the Baltimore Orioles continues.
A tiebreaker in the American League to see who goes into the postseason. It's the Tampa Bay Rays and the Texas Rangers. And it was another comeback win for Texas as Longoria into right center field. That ball's got some carry. Back is Martin at the wall, and it's gone. Evan Longoria to the 6th, and he rips one right field. That is fair, and to the wall. In the score is Longoria. De Jesus in the 2nd with an RBI double. And Fold takes off to 3rd. The throw gets away. And Sam Fold will score. Caught the Rangers napping. And a huge error allows Tampa Bay to take a 5-2 lead. And this could do it. And the Rays are in the postseason. David Price goes the distance. A stunned crowd here in Arlington.
2 straight 90-plus win seasons, but with very similar endings. The Rangers spent the vast majority of the 2012 season leading their division until an unexpected challenger dethroned them. The Oakland A's. Dubbed as a rookie super team by Foolish Baseball, this team climbed out of a distant 3rd-place position to challenge the Rangers for the division in the final series of the year. Ultimately, the A's swept the Rangers, forcing them into a winner-take-all wildcard game, which they lost. A heartbreaking end to a great season, especially as the World Series core continued to separate with the departures of Josh Hamilton and Mike Napoli ahead of 2013. A year where the Rangers' offense noticeably declined. They maintained a spot in the playoff race due to their elite pitching staff. But the standings proved the Rangers were no longer the top dogs of the American League. Between their Game 163 loss, the multitude of pitching injuries, the underwhelming offense, and other surrounding storylines, 2013 was a season to forget. Even worse, the offseason began under a cloud of uncertainty. CEO Nolan Ryan sold his ownership stake and departed the club to join the Houston Astros as an executive advisor to a leadership group that included his son, Reed Ryan. Overall, he didn't leave the Rangers under the best of terms, alluding to the notion that he never fully fit into the dynamics set by now President of Baseball Operations, Jon Daniels. Definitely a rough start to an offseason expected to dictate this team's immediate future. With this in mind, it makes sense why instead of opting for short-term solutions like in 2013, the Rangers elected for big splashes. Not only did they replace the departing Nelson Cruz with Shin-Soo Choo, they traded longtime Ranger Ian Kinsler to the Tigers for power-hitting first baseman Prince Fielder and the majority of his monster contract. Yes, these were two very risky deals, but for the Rangers, this was the price to pay to keep their playoff window open for the foreseeable future. Although there was one person who wanted to see the Rangers go 0-162, Ian Kinsler. While he later stated this was a joke, he actually wasn't too far off from reality.
There's a drive, deep right field, Rio's back, goal! A game winner for Michael Brantley!
By the end of the year, the Rangers had recorded their first sub-70 win season in nearly 3 decades. Referred by Jon Daniels as a disaster of a year, the 2014 Rangers used 64 players throughout the season, a major league record until 2019. How did this happen? Injuries. From Prince Fielder's season-ending neck injury to Yu Darvish's right elbow inflammation that eventually required Tommy John surgery, to Derek Holland suffering a long-term knee injury he got when playing with his dog. Overall, Rangers players accumulated over 2,000 days on the injured list in 2014, the first team to reach this unfortunate milestone. Plus, manager Ron Washington resigned in early September to address marital issues. In short, the team was in disarray with no clear direction for 2015. Maybe the combination of their questionable long-term commitments and outstanding injuries ultimately shuts this playoff window for good in 2015. Or perhaps their 2014 season was an anomaly and their core rebounds under the guidance of their new manager, Jeff Bannister. Well, unfortunately, by mid-season, the answer was leaning towards the former.
High drive, left field, it is out of here.
Belt hits a high fly ball left center field. Martin on the move. It is out of here. Got him, and that's the ball game. Both teams played tough, and in the end, the Giants pick up a victory.
Following a brutal loss one day after the 2015 trade deadline, the Rangers' playoff odds were looking slim. However, the front office didn't see it that way. In fact, their starting pitcher against the Giants was recent trade acquisition Cole Hamels, an all-star level pitcher with multiple years left on his contract, creating a lethal duo of Hamels and Darvish beginning in 2016. The trade package to acquire Hamels was massive, as it included top 100 prospects Jorge Alfaro and Jake Thompson, as well as oft-injured but former all-star starter Matt Harrison. Quite the risky deal, but if there's anything we've learned about Jon Daniels, it's that he isn't afraid to gamble. As written by ESPN's Jean-Jacques Taylor, cowards never win in this game. At least Daniels gives his teams a chance. In this particular case, the chance was slim, but ultimately this team took this lifeline and ran with it.
That ball is hammered to left field. Down the line, and it's there, it's gone. Goodbye. Chu makes the catch. Here comes the throw. Morris over the slide. He is out of the play. Driven to center field. That ball is hit well. Marichnik back at the wall. They'll try and drive. High
Over the final 2 months of the regular season, the Rangers climbed out of a deep hole to not only make the playoffs, but win the division. Befittingly, it was Cole Hamels who recorded the final out to clinch the division on the final day of the regular season. And the batter he faced was David Freese. Could this be a symbolic end to the curse that was casted upon this team in 2011? Well, if there was one thing the Rangers had on their side, it was momentum. Time and time again, we've seen the effect a wave of momentum has in the playoffs, and the Rangers were in the midst of riding one. By season's end, both the offense and pitching staff transformed into playoff caliber units, thanks to guys like Cole Hamels, Martin Perez, Adrian Beltre, Shin-Soo Choo, and a returning Mike Napoli, among many others. After a demoralizing 2014 season, the fact this team bounced back into a division title is why Elvis Andrus believed this playoff berth meant more than 2010 and 2011. A team characterized by their passion, energy, and heart, the Rangers had a real opportunity to finish their story. However, there was another team on a similar path. The Toronto Blue Jays. Led by MVP Josh Donaldson and sluggers Edwin Encarnacion and Jose Bautista, the Blue Jays were the only American League team with a better record than the Rangers following August 1st, ultimately making the playoffs for the first time since their 1993 World Series campaign. Now, these unlikely division winners were set to face off in the ALDS, a series that surpassed all expectations. From the Rangers silencing the Toronto crowd in games 1 and 2 to the Blue Jays tying the series in the heart of Texas, everything rested on a crucial Game 5. 2 storybook seasons, but only one winner. The compelling stakes is certainly enough reason to assume why this game is so fondly remembered, but in reality, it's not necessarily the game that's remembered. It's one particular inning.
Russell Hart's thinking the same thing. Look at this. Ball's dead.
Dead ball. The ball actually hit Chu's bat as Martin went to throw it back to the pitcher.
He's just standing there getting ready to hit. Watch this. And that's just a throwback and it hit the bat. Or if he threw it and it hit off the bat with his bat, he's got to score.
I think that's the right call.
I do too. Chu did not intentionally interfere, and they are going crazy, throwing everything in this place.
Think about a Major League Baseball season and how many times a catcher throws the ball back. And in this case, sends home the tie-breaking run, the 7th inning of a sudden death game.
Broken back grounder. Andrews will not handle it. On the ground to the right side. Everybody's safe. Bumped it. Beltre goes to third. Bases loaded. 2-0. A bloop. Over the glove. Malone scores. The 7th inning to this point has taken 40 minutes. Donaldson driving in the tying run on a fielder's choice after the Rangers took the lead in bizarre fashion in the top half. 1-1 from Donaldson. Bautista with a drive. Deep left field. No doubt about it.
Jays playing catch-up once again. They trail by a run. Bautista gets hit by Matt Bush.
7 months following Game 5, Matt Bush hit the man who sunk the dagger into Rangers fans' hearts, Jose Bautista, the fan base's most notorious public enemy since David Freese. However, Freese didn't perform one of the most iconic bat flips in baseball history. Bautista did, and a couple of Rangers players took exception. As pointed out by the New York Times' Andrew Kay, bat flips symbolize a generational divide between those who adhere to the game's supposed foundational gentlemanly principles and others who enjoy the showcase of flair and personality. So Bautista getting hit wasn't completely unexpected. But what happened next shocked everyone.
Beltre ducks off a tough hop, and the throw is wide down the line, and there we go, 5 seconds. And we got the benches empty of that.
In total, 14 players and staff members were disciplined following this brawl, including an 8-game suspension for Rougned Odor, a 1-game suspension for Elvis Andrus, and a total of 7 fines for Rangers personnel. Despite the lengthy suspension, Odor had no regrets punching Bautista, saying he was just trying to protect himself following Bautista's hard slide. For context, this brawl was just months after Chase Utley broke Ruben Tejada's leg following a hard slide, resulting in the banning of so-called takeout slides. Although Bautista felt the bigger issue was the Rangers' lack of leadership, explaining that it was cowardly of them to wait until his final at-bat of the series to hit him. Overall, these series of chaotic events were molding this matchup into a heated rivalry, intensifying the importance of wins and losses. Sure, in terms of win totals, the Blue Jays had the upper hand, but the Rangers were attempting to change that.
Drive deep, left field, way there, goodbye!
Half an inning before the bench-clearing brawl, Ian Desmond hit a go-ahead 3-run home run, a hit that single-handedly increased the Rangers' win probability by 53%. Similarly, the day prior, Drew Stubbs prevented a potential Blue Jays comeback with an extra inning walk-off home run, one of their 8 total walk-offs from the 2016 season. A total that didn't quite lead the league, but exemplified the clutchness of this team. In fact, according to Fangraphs' Clutch Stat, which uses WPA and Leverage Index to calculate how well a player or team performs in high-leverage situations, the 2016 Rangers were the 3rd most offensively clutch team since 1974, a trait that undoubtedly contributed to their 4th division title in 7 years. However, the issue with clutchness as a characteristic is it's a product of circumstance. For example, the Rangers won 95 games, but according to their expected record, a record that's based solely off runs scored and runs allowed, the Rangers should have won only 82 games. Typically, teams tend to deviate from their expected record by a few games, but a difference of 13 or more wins is something only 2 teams have done this century. What did these 2 teams have in common? Their success in one-run games, perhaps the most volatile form of record in baseball. In fact, because of their historically clutch offense and exceptionally clutch pitching staff, the 2016 Rangers record in one-run games is the best since 1900. Overall, to build a foundation of success off extreme volatility is incredibly risky, as it doesn't reflect the true skill level of a team. Sure, in high-leverage situations, this team showcased their best traits more often than not, but on a full-season level, both the offense and pitching staff were mediocre at best. So, heading into the playoffs, the question was this: what happens if the luck runs out?
And look who's coming up here for the Blue Jays. The Rangers will have no part of it. Encarnacion will be intentionally walked, but that puts Jose Bautista squarely in the center. Full count, nobody out. Here it comes, and a swing and a miss. Bush strikes him out. That Bautista strikeout could be a turning point. This is pitch number 7 of the at-bat, and pitch number 42 for Bush. And Martin stays alive, fouls it away. 99 miles an hour.
Really impressed. What a job he's done.
8th pitch of the at-bat. Another payoff. And Martin on the ground. Andrews makes a play, goes to second, out there, throw to first. Oh, but here comes the runner, Donaldson. He's saved. The ball game is over. The Blue Jays are moving on to the ALCS.
A 1-run loss and a 3-0 sweep. The Blue Jays' ultimate revenge. As this sign put it, would rather get punched in May than get knocked out in October. The volatile foundation that held the 2016 Rangers together crumbled under the pressure. And worst of all, it signaled the end of their playoff window. Over the following seasons, as the Houston Astros developed into the state's premier baseball franchise, the Rangers dealt with the departures of Yu Darvish, Cole Hamels, Elvis Andrus, Adrian Beltre, and Prince Fielder. Whether it was through free agency, trades, or retirement, the Rangers lost many key players over the course of a few years, and they were unable to adequately replace them. But wait a minute, didn't the Rangers farm system consistently rank among the best in the league throughout their playoff window? Why, yes, they did. The problem was many of their best prospects never quite reached their full potential. This list includes former #1 prospect Jurickson Profar, Nomar Mazara, Mike Olt, and Dylan Tate, who alongside Mark Teixeira were the only top 5 draft picks the Rangers made in the 2000s and 2010s. However, in a cruel twist, the 2015 draft could have been much different. 1 week after Ron Washington's resignation in September 2014, the Rangers were the league's worst team. Then, under the leadership of interim manager Tim Bogar, the team went 13-13 in their final 16 games of the season. So not only did they end the season with the league's 3rd worst record, due to the Astros failing to sign #1 overall pick Brady Aiken in 2014, they were given the 2nd overall pick in 2015 as compensation, dropping the Rangers to 4th overall. So because of this late season winning streak, the Rangers lost out on the opportunity to draft future All-Star infielders Dansby Swanson and Alex Bregman, which ultimately reveals a harsh reality. Luck is a major factor for success. The early 2010s Rangers were built for sustained success through a high payroll and elite farm system, but there's only so much you can plan for. The Rangers couldn't have anticipated Prince Fielder's early retirement or Jurickson Profar's shoulder injuries or Yu Darvish's Tommy John surgery. The reality is that when the ultimate success of a rebuild is characterized by a select few games in October, there's no room for unexpected setbacks. So then what's the point? Why go through all the lows if the ultimate high isn't guaranteed?
3-run home run Renteria. Here it is. Struck him out. And for the first time since 1954, the Giants are world champions. And listen to these fans as that celebration happens. In San Francisco going crazy and here in Arlington applauding.
We've spent the entire video through the perspective of a losing team, but what about the winning perspective? In 2010, the Rangers lost their first ever chance at a championship, while the Giants ended a 5-decade-long title drought. A drought that began following the New York Giants' 1954 championship, a team led by baseball legend Willie Mays. 56 years later, Mays had tears in his eyes watching the jubilation on the field, because you never know. This might be the last time something like this happens to some of these kids.
It's a one-run game.
The Never Say Die Angels giving their fans a thrill down the stretch. Nen delivers, and it's belted in the gap. It's in there for a double. The Angels take the lead, 6-5.
8 years prior to the 2010 World Series, in Game 6 of the 2002 World Series, the Giants were 6 outs away from a triumphant victory, until Darren Erstad and Troy Gloss crushed the Giants' dreams, ultimately losing the series the following day. This is the type of loss that lingers in the minds of players and fans for years to follow. Does that sound familiar? However, when the day of celebration finally comes, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience both the team and fan base can enjoy together. Over 1 million fans were estimated to have attended the Giants championship parade, and for Javier Lopez to realize the full scope of the impact this victory had on the community was both humbling and inspiring. That is why we deal with the lows, because the feeling at the top of the mountain is incomparable to anything else.
Strike 3.
In October 2020, the LA Dodgers won their first championship in over 30 years, and they did it at Globe Life Field, the Rangers' new $1.2 billion state-of-the-art and, most importantly, air-conditioned stadium that opened the same year. A stadium built to mark a new era of Rangers baseball, it was also built with history in mind, as the field dimensions featured the numbers of team legends Adrian Beltre, Ivan Rodriguez, Michael Young, and Johnny Oates, the manager during the team's 1990s playoff runs. Although there's one number I want to highlight in particular, 374. A nod to the 1974 Rangers, a team previously highlighted as the turnaround gang because of their single-season turnaround from 57 wins to 84 wins. Well, there was a chance for history to repeat itself as the 2021 Rangers finished with over 100 losses for the first time since 1973. But just how quickly could this Rangers team turn it around? After all, it took years after their playoff window ended in 2016 to fully commit to a rebuild. Well, with the hiring of former pitcher, current MLB executive, and Dallas native Chris Young as the team's new general manager, the duo of Young and John Daniels were intent on replenishing the farm system and providing young players with big league playing time. Over the course of a year, they traded Cy Young candidate Lance Lynn, All-Star Joey Gallo, Rougned Odor, and Elvis Andrus, the final remaining member of the 2011 World Series team. In return, they received a multitude of prospects, including starter Dane Dunning and catcher Jonah Heim, as well as young big league first baseman Nathaniel Lowe in a deal with the Rays. By 2022 spring training, the Rangers had built a top 10 farm system headlined by 2021 number 2 pick Jack Leiter and 2019 number 8 pick Josh Young. A promising foundation was beginning to form, and with no long-term commitments beyond 2022, the Rangers were expected to be active and aggressive in the free agent market, adding that no player was going to be ruled out because of a perceived price tag. Well, when John Daniels said that, he really meant it. With the long-term commitments made to MVP-caliber infielders Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, along with starter John Gray and a few others, the Rangers had committed over $580 million to free agents, more than double any other team. Before these signings were made, Chris Young said that the goal was to surround the next wave of young talent with the right veteran players. But typically teams wait to assess their prospects in the big leagues before making marquee additions like Adrian Beltre and Cliff Lee. So considering the team's rocky history with player development, the fact the success of this rebuild now relied on their next wave of prospects was extremely risky. Fortunately, this wasn't Alex Rodriguez 2.0. The team had laid out a vision of how to build a championship-winning culture, labeling Seager and Semien as the new pillars of the organization, enticing them with the opportunity to forever be enshrined in Rangers history as the first team to bring back the Commissioner's Trophy. That's how they sold these two MVP-caliber players to join this project. You know, besides the money. However, despite labeling 2022 as a transitory year, the results were concerning.
Odor, high into right field, at the wall, we are tied! Into left field from Mullins, that is going to get past Duggar. Everybody go home!
A 68-win season implied this team was much farther from success than they anticipated. But it actually wasn't as dire as it seemed. In 2022, 13 teams had at least 4 batters with at least 3 WAR. Only 3 of these teams didn't make the playoffs. While the Rangers' final record was drastically worse than these 2 other teams, their expected records revealed these teams were more alike than meets the eye. In direct contrast to their historically lucky 2016 season, the 2022 Rangers finished 9 wins below their expected record due to possessing their worst one-run game record in franchise history. So, as historically unlucky as this season was, it gave the Rangers the number 4 overall pick in the 2023 draft, which they used to draft Wyatt Langford, who entered the 2024 season as a top 10 prospect. On the other hand, this disappointing season resulted in the firing of 2 team leaders, manager Chris Woodward and John Daniels. Many fans felt this was long overdue, but this shouldn't understate the impact Daniels had on this organization. As the architect of 2 World Series teams, Daniels' fingerprints can be found all throughout the book of Rangers history, including the current era. Before the Rangers traded homegrown all-star Joey Gallo back in mid-2021, both sides were far apart in extension negotiations, and the team wasn't going to let Gallo walk away in free agency if they can recoup some value by trading him. In other words, when we talk about rebuilding, it can't be at half measures. Half measures are exactly what ended the A-Rod era. The inability to commit to a plan following the acquisition of a superstar is why Rodriguez's years in Texas are an afterthought in his career. Fast forward to 2022, and the situation was nearly identical. Seager and Semien were locked in for the long haul. So despite a disappointing season, the vision they were sold on not only needed to continue, but expand. The Rangers chose the path of uncertainty. There was no turning back now. Or in other words, no half measures. So the first order of business was finding a new manager, a new leader for a team soon to be filled with unproven big leaguers. So they hired the best manager they could find, Bruce Bochy, the leader of the early 2010s Giants dynasty. Next, it was time to identify and address the roster's weaknesses. Of course, the pillars were already established, and the surrounding players showed lots of promise. So apart from signing outfielder Robbie Grossman, the team set their sights on pitching. Well, by the end of the 2022 calendar year, they established an almost entirely new rotation. They re-signed Martin Perez following a breakout season, acquired Jake Odorizzi in a trade, and signed 2 high-potential starters, Andrew Heaney and Nathan Eovaldi. All of these pitchers were capable of producing quality starts, but none of them were true aces. To be fair, there's only a handful of legitimate aces at one time. But it just so happened that one of these legitimate aces was a free agent. With his lethal mix of 100 mph fastballs and 90 mph sliders, Jacob deGrom had long established himself as an absolute monster. Entering his 10th season, deGrom sat on a prestigious list of only 7 starters who produced at least a 150 ERA plus in their first 9 seasons. However, this deal came with great risk, as the soon-to-be 35-year-old deGrom had only thrown 26 starts in his prior 2 seasons due to injuries. In fact, of the team's 6 potential 2023 starters, only Perez avoided an IL stint in 2022. Also, even following this massive offseason, Fangraphs' playoff odds weren't too favorable of the Rangers. On the other hand, there were reasons to believe this team was better than their projections. For one, their 2022 expected record depicted a more accurate portrayal of this team's skill level prior to the offseason. Also, no one in the league had more to gain from the banning of the shift more than Corey Seager, who produced a career-high home run total in 2022. So, if Seager benefits from the shift ban and Semien continues his second-half hot streak from 2022, this could become baseball's best middle infield duo. However, that's the crux of it all. From Seager and Semien to the health of the pitching staff to the success of their first wave of prospects, so much had to go right for this team to be competitive in 2023. That's why I said this in my 2023 preview video. Josh Young and the first wave of prospects could all succeed, and with how deep the Rangers farm system is, they could trade for established big leaguers too. Honestly, this could happen in 2023 with a hot start in the first half, but I think it's more likely they finish around 500. I could have been bold and predicted the Rangers to sneak into the playoffs, but like I said, nearly everything needed to go right for this experiment to work. Still, as Chris Young stated back in 2022, 2023 was the year they projected their playoff window to open. Meaning the first half of 2023 was the true first opportunity to gauge the success of this rebuild.
Deep out to right field, does it have enough? It's gone! Back on it is Castellanos, it's
over his head. 2 more runs and scored. It's a 9-run 4th inning. Last hope now, Adolis Garcia to the plate. And this one up the middle, base hit, and it's tied up again. El Bombi delivers in the 10th. It's a 2-0. And that ball hit in the air. Deep out to right. It is gone! Jonah Heim with a game-winning homer. It's the 5th reliever used back of Clark Schmidt. And this ball is belted deep into left. It's gone!
In the 2023 All-Star Game, only 2 teams had at least 6 representatives, the Braves and the Rangers. Given that 5 of their 6 All-Stars were hitters, unsurprisingly, the Rangers went into the All-Star break ranked as an elite offense, but the pitching staff wasn't quite at that level, especially following Jacob deGrom's season-ending injury. So, by the trade deadline, the Rangers addressed these weaknesses with some of the best pitchers on the market. Flame-throwing reliever Aroldis Chapman, all-star level starter Jordan Montgomery, and future Hall of Famer Max Scherzer. Between these additions and their sky-high playoff odds, everything was going perfectly.
And Garcia hits his ball high in the air out to center, carrying well, it's gone! Into the bullpen and right!
But then, this team started to lose, and the losses kept piling up more and more until September 8th, when the Rangers' playoff odds plummeted to less than 40%.
Fair ball gone. 3-run home run, Jose Abreu. He's looking to go yard, back-to-back jacks, and it's a 12-3 game.
What happened? Well, the bullpen couldn't hold a lead, the rotation declined significantly, the offense couldn't hit in high-leverage situations, and following the All-Star break, 4 of their 6 All-Stars had spent time on the IL, which doesn't include Max Scherzer's injury. Basically, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And the unfortunate truth is, for Rangers fans, a collapse of this nature wasn't surprising. As coined in 1996 by writer Mike Shropshire, it was Texas baseball tradition to be at or near the top of the standings until the All-Star break, then collapsing like a cardboard suitcase. In order to break this tradition and truly signal the shift into a new era, the Rangers needed a spark. Someone to pull this team out of their dormant state.
He's hitting .288, 13 homers, 67 runs batted in.
And he hits this one by first. That's a base hit. And Evan Carter has his first major league hit tonight. And this ball's hit well. Deep out to right. Evan Carter has done it again. A 2-run shot. Maybe he is the savior.
The call-up of 21-year-old top prospect Evan Carter following Adolis Garcia's injury saved the Rangers' season. And that's no exaggeration. Regarded by his teammates as the team's little savior, Carter was the team's best player through the final weeks of the season, a period where, under the threat of elimination, the team banded together and didn't look back.
The 3-2, and that's lifted out to left field, near the wall, gone! Go after the first pitch, that's a base hit up the middle. Simeon, he'll score. Josh Young delivers the go-ahead single. Happy baseball, Rangers 15-5 over the Red Sox to win the series. A flip to Leclerc, and this one is over! The incredible turnaround of 2023 continues. The final road trip looms for the Rangers. The Rangers have won their 89th game of the year, and they are that much closer to a postseason berth.
What a pivotal point in the game right here. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Ground ball into center field for a base hit. Garcia is in. Lowe is right behind him.
Here's the pitch, and there's a line drive, base hit left center field. Carter rounds third. He is coming home. 6-1 Rangers on the strength of a 4-run third inning.
Swing and a miss. Leclerc gets the final out. And And for the first time since 2016, the Texas Rangers will play in October.
The Rangers clawed their way back into the postseason by winning 14 of their final 22 games. As Bruce Bochy put it, these guys have the ability to put tough times, tough losses, tough streaks behind them. And this club did an unbelievable job of doing that. However, their in-season collapse wasn't without consequences. Despite ending the year with the same record as the Astros, the Rangers were relegated to a wildcard spot because they lost their season series to the Astros, including a 3-game sweep in early September. As a result, the journey to the World Series became significantly more difficult. But on the other hand, they could use the optics of being the number 5 seed to their advantage. Between their elite offense headlined by 2 MVP candidates, to their high potential pitching staff, and the wave of momentum they'd been riding throughout September, if there was a dark horse to win it all, it was the Rangers.
This wildcard series about to begin between the 2 highest scoring teams in the American League.
Shows bunt here and pops it up toward first, diving for it, Montgomery. He makes the catch.
It's off the glove of Pinto to the backstop and a run scores. The Rays continue to help the Texas Rangers offense. Created by a line drive, sinking Facade. That'll fall in front of Siri. Around to score Carter. Now the throw goes into the dugout. And he struck him out. What a performance by Jordan Montgomery. And they haven't had a runner reach second base in this series since the 6th inning of yesterday. He's ready to celebrate with his team. Strike 3 goes the Rangers' way, and they go on to the second round to take on Baltimore in the ALDS starting on Saturday.
In with the bases loaded to face Mitch Garver. That ball is hit in the air to deep left field. Hayes going back. It's gone! Mitch Garver breaks it open for the Rangers, who have 9 runs over the first 3 innings.
Runners at second and third with 2 men out here.
Garcia gets up on top of that ball, hammers it to left field. It's gone!
And Jordan Westburg is the last hope for the Orioles.
And the Texas Rangers are going to the championship series.
2 playoff series, 5 wins, 0 losses. Complete domination of the 2 best teams in the American League. But what laid ahead of them was their biggest challenge yet, the Houston Astros. Statistically, the Rangers had the edge, but you can never count out a team with the postseason pedigree the Astros have, especially when Jose Altuve, Kyle Tucker, and Yordan Alvarez are in the lineup. It's this amount of star power on both sides that transformed this matchup into a true rivalry in 2023. And heading into the postseason, this rivalry continued to intensify.
A lot of people were wondering what it was going to be like if the Stros didn't win the division. I guess we'll never know.
While not necessarily a direct shot at the Rangers, Corey Seager and the rest of the team took it as bulletin board material. A quote that motivated this team throughout the postseason, especially the ALCS.
The Rangers got Jordan Montgomery at the deadline from St. Louis. They got a guy who seems like he's on a mission. Carter hits it hard and it streaks under Abreu into right field. On his way to second, and he will get there.
Getting in the scoring position with 1 out for Jonah Heim.
Bangs the ball to right center field. It's down and won't have a chance to get Carter. Texas 1, Houston nothing. The 1-2 pitch. Sticks with a fastball and strikes him out. Jordan Montgomery gets out of the bases loaded jam. The 1-2 pitch. Is it hard? Deep right field, and Leone Taveras takes Verlander deep.
And here comes Bruce Bochy. That will be all for Jordan Montgomery. 6 1/3 shutout innings.
Fly ball, left center field. At the wall, Carter with a leap and a catch. Back to first goes out. Altuve.
We're going to look at this to see if Altuve retouches second base. He steps across, and I don't know if he stepped back.
The call on the field's overturned. The runner is out on appeal.
So a successful appeal from the Rangers, and it's a double play. Astros down to their last strike. Leclerc's 3-2 pitch. Got him! With game one of the championship series, 2-0 over the Astros.
The plate representing the go-ahead run.
Diaz swings and misses. Altuve's down on strikes. Young gets another chance. This one bounces right to him.
Got him, and Evaldi gets out of the jam.
Tied run into scoring position. Go-ahead run aboard. Ground ball left side. Young's got it. Jungle recovers and steps on the bag to end the eighth.
Jeremy Pena will stand in.
Goes up with a fastball. Somehow gets there. Sends it in the air to right. Garcia to the wall with just enough room. Oh, he gave it a ride and gave him some hope, but it dies on the track. Fly ball center field. Tavares comes on. The call, the catch, the win in game two. A nail-biter that goes Texas way, and they lead this best of 7, 2 games to none.
2 intense wins in foreign territory, proving this Rangers team was built for the postseason. But unlike their wildcard and division series matchups, the Astros were keeping these games incredibly close. Fortunately, a big name was returning from injury. Max Scherzer, someone who had the potential to put the Rangers over the edge, to make them unstoppable. Although potential doesn't win games. In a repeat of his 2022 wildcard performance, Scherzer was absolutely crushed. But there was a larger story at play. For the first time through their playoff run, the Rangers were met with adversity. Overcoming adversity is what allowed this team to get into this position, but dealing with it in the playoffs is a much different animal. After a 3-run first inning to begin Game 4, the Rangers responded with 3 runs of their own to tie the game in the third. But ultimately, it was the Astros who were in control, exposing the depth of the Rangers pitching staff, while key batters like Semien, Garver, Heim, and Lowe had fallen silent at the worst possible time. Now, with 1 game left in Arlington, the Astros had the chance to seize all momentum before the trip back home. In the first half of Game 5, that's exactly what they did, as Alex Bregman put the Astros on the board with the first inning home run, while Seager and Semien left runners on base. Inning by inning, the Rangers were allowing this 1-run lead to remain as this game's deciding factor. Someone needed to step up.
Fastball's in the zone. He gets to this one, sends it deep down the line. It's tied! Lowe, who has looked lost, catches up to this one and ties the game.
A massive game-tying home run from Nathaniel Lowe. A sign of life for the Rangers, which immediately elicited a response from Jose Abreu. Still, for a team whose 2023 season was characterized by their resilience, a sign of life was all this team needed.
Adolis Garcia swings and hits one high and deep into left field. At the wall, it is gone! This crowd, for the first time, has felt like they have a chance to win a game at home.
And here comes the man of the day to this point, Adolis Garcia. The first pitch here, and gets right in Maldonado's ear. The benches are clearing in the American League Championship Series. Everybody doing their very best to keep their cool, but Garcia's losing his. In-state rivals and things boiling over here in a critical Game 5.
One of the best relievers in baseball just suddenly lost command? Crazy coincidence, isn't it? That's what many Rangers players felt about this incident. But considering the absurdity of intentionally hitting a player in this situation, it's worth hearing Bryan Abreu's side. My plan was to try to get the ball up and in. I just missed with the pitch. So maybe this was a response to Aroldis Chapman throwing a similar pitch to Yordan Alvarez in the previous inning. However, catcher Martin Maldonado's perspective differed from Abreu, saying the pitch was supposed to be away from Garcia. Ultimately, the umpires deemed it as intentional and ejected Abreu, but the Rangers ended the inning with the same 2-run lead, causing Bruce Bochy to send out Jose Leclerc for a second inning of work. But Bochy was concerned. Due to the time delay that resulted from the bench's clearing, over 20 minutes had passed since Leclerc was in the game, an exorbitant amount of time for a reliever to be off the mound. Leclerc himself believed he was ready to go, but Bochy was right to be concerned.
His 2-1 pitch. Hit hard and through, and a leadoff base hit. His first hit of the postseason sets the table here in the ninth. 3-2 pitch. Ball 4. Tying run reaches for Houston. And up comes Jose Altuve. 4 times he's been up there today, John. He's 0 for 4 on 5 pitches. The 0-1. High fly ball to deep left field. Back to the wall. Altuve makes the moment again. Astros lead in the ninth. Swing and a miss, and the Astros win this classic. The Astros have gone from down 2 in the series to ahead 3-2.
96%. That was the Rangers' win probability following Garcia's hit by pitch. Before Altuve's swing, this number had dropped to 72%. Afterwards, it was at 17%. A 55% WPA, the largest WPA shift of the entire 2023 postseason. The 2023 Rangers were no strangers to blowing saves, but between Altuve's home run and the squandered opportunities in the bottom of the ninth, the Rangers ended the night on the wrong side of an instant classic. Perhaps it's unfair to label Semien and Seager's hard-hit outs as squandered opportunities, but in the end, what ultimately matters are results, and the unfortunate truth was the Rangers were now on the brink of elimination. After their Game 3 loss, Josh Young said the Rangers were in the position they were in because of their resiliency. Game 6 was going to put that to the test. Are they truly the resilient team who overcomes adversity? Or will it all be remembered as a facade?
Begins with a base hit the other way from Altuve. Some of the 2-2. Altuve balls. Hard one to fall on for Hyman. No chance to get Altuve. Alvarez, jam shot, right center. It's down. Alvarez and Altuve combine to get the Astros on the board quickly. Mitch Garver swings at the first one that he sees, sends it the other way and deep. On the first pitch of the inning, he hits it out and ties the game. Mitch Garver with an ambush of Valdez, and it's 1-1 just like that. What happened in the 8th inning of Game 5?
Got him! Two-seam fastball away. Garcia chases. A big strikeout, the 4th of the ball game for Framber Valdez.
Left side and through. So after parking one in the seats his first time, he puts a ball with eyes into left field to keep this 4th inning going. On an 0-1 pitch. Drives one the other way. Tucker's going back towards the corner at the wall. It's gone! 2 home runs for the Rangers, and they've taken the lead in Game 6. Bases loaded, 1 gone in the 9th. Stanek's one. It is drilled on a line. Left field and gone! Adolis Garcia makes his statement, and the Rangers have their sights set on Game 7.
Behind the outstanding pitching efforts from Eovaldi, Spores, Leclerc, and Heaney, the Rangers put together an offensive clinic as guys like Semien, Garver, and Heim were finally producing offensively. I'm just proud of how these guys keep bouncing back. They're amazing. They really are. They just don't let adversity get to them. Now, it was Game 7. the conclusion to an instant classic series. Bruce Bochy entrusted Max Scherzer to handle the pressures of this Game 7. A bold move, but if there was someone who had experience facing the Astros in Game 7, it was Max Scherzer. Still, as they were in enemy territory, to dictate the tempo of this game, the Rangers needed to strike early. Well, if there was one thing this team had consistently shown throughout this postseason, it was their resilience on the road.
Javier Seager hits a high fly ball, deep right field, a bomb in the first. Garcia gets up on it, drives it to left, off the wall. Carter read it well. Here he comes. 2-0 Texas in the first. Lifts it to center field. Cormica step back at first. Now comes on, and that ball's going to fall. And Garcia's headed home. The throw is not in time. It's 3-0 Rangers. And everything going the Rangers' way in the first inning of Game 7.
Comes Adolis Garcia. See if the crowd has any energy left to boo Adolis now.
Here's the fly ball. Back goes Brantley to the wall, and Adolis Garcia has hit another home run. His fifth in the last 4 games. He owns Houston. Grounder to second. 2 years removed from losing 100. The Rangers have won the pennant.
I'm going to add this. Congrats on wearing the horns in Texas and going to the World Series.
They did it. The Rangers were going back to the World Series. Barring one hitter, every single player in the Rangers lineup got a hit in this game, but no one played their part more than Adolis Garcia. The man who was not only traded to the Rangers for cash, but was DFA'd by the Rangers just 2 years prior. Now, he's the ALCS MVP. It's been a very long way here. We all know about the sacrifices we have to make to get to the major leagues. I never dreamed that I would play in a World Series, but thanks to God, he put me in the right place with the right team. And so, here we are today. Garcia was on top of the baseball world, but he was also now in the record books. With 15 RBIs, he set the record for most RBIs in a single series, a record that was held by Nelson Cruz from the 2011 ALCS. However, Cruz's historic level of production didn't carry over to the World Series. In fact, his best performances turned into an afterthought when David Freese sent a game-tying hit over his head. In order for Garcia and this Rangers team to avoid the same fate, they needed to confront the ghosts of their past head on. October 27th, Game 6 of the 2011... Oh wait, sorry, wrong game. October 27th. Game 1 of the 2023 World Series. For 12 years, this date had lived in infamy. Now, this team had the chance to rectify it once and for all. But this wouldn't come easy. Before the series began, the Rangers were seen as the favorites over the Arizona Diamondbacks, but these teams were more alike than their stats suggest. Just 2 years prior, they were both 100-loss teams. They both snuck into this postseason as wildcard teams. They both fell into 3-2 deficits in their respective championship series. But against all odds, they both made it to the World Series. As Rangers GM Chris Young said, it's not always about the team with the most talent. It's the team with the right talent. So the question was, who wanted it more?
2 up, 2 down here on the top of this first inning.
He struck him out swinging with a splitter. So it's a 1-2-3 top of the first.
And walked it. Right center field. That's going to split the gap. And it's Evan Carter, 21 years old, starting the scoring in the World Series. With a 3-1 pitch. Line drive, base hit left field. Carter can fly. He heads home. It's 2-0 Texas.
By setting the tempo early, the Rangers put themselves in a great position to win. Throughout the postseason thus far, in games where the Rangers scored first, they were 7-0. However, the Diamondbacks weren't going down without a fight. In the third inning, after a couple of singles and a sacrifice bunt, breakout star Corbin Carroll hit a 2 RBI triple, later scoring off a sharp ground ball to first base, just narrowly avoiding the tag from Jonah Heim. But just as quickly as the Rangers lost the lead, they put together a 2-out rally to tie the game on a bases-loaded walk. However, the Rangers left these runners stranded, a potential game-changing opportunity they failed to capitalize on.
Here's a shot to left field by Pham. It's way back there, and Tommy Pham puts the D-backs in front.
Switch hitter batting left-handed, NLCS MVP.
There's 2-1 from Rollie. Golfs one into right center field. Tavares on the move. It's over his head. Lead extended. It's 5-3. The Rangers they're getting really pesky with 2 outs. They're creating some stress with 2 outs. They're looking for one more hit. Left side, will it stay in play? Moreno's got it.
And the inning comes to a close.
The runners will scamper back. That is the second out of the inning, and that will bring up Josh Young.
On this 1-1 pitch, breaks his bat on a roll to left side. Perdomo's got it. Over to first, the inning is over.
No runs, a hit, and 2 men left, and we're going to the ninth.
After leaving 2 runners stranded in the 8th, the Rangers had left a total of 8 runners on base compared to the Diamondbacks' 5. Simply put, the Diamondbacks were capitalizing on their opportunities, while the Rangers were letting them slip away. 12 years prior, the Rangers let the ultimate prize slip away. To begin this series in similar fashion would be a detriment to themselves and the fans. I said earlier that in order for the Rangers to win this series, they needed to confront their past ghosts head on. With only a 10% win probability and 3 outs to work with, they were running out of time. In short, the Rangers needed a miracle.
Hooks this one on the line to right field. Garcia's back. Catch.
Pretty play by Adolis Garcia. 1, 2, 3 go the Diamondbacks, and we head to the bottom of the ninth.
And here comes Paul Sewald, who they got at the deadline. Nearly perfect during the regular season. 6 out of 6 in the postseason. Tavares takes ball 4, and there's the dreaded leadoff walk. Well, we've talked about Semien. Hasn't had his moment yet. Will this be his moment? Will there be a big hit here? Got him with a fastball. 1 gone in the 9th. Could tie it with 1 swing. High drive! It's tied!
This one is history. A 2-run homer, and Sewald has his first blown save of the postseason.
Corey Seager has tied the game in the 9th, and now the Rangers can look to win it. Garcia sends it the other way, then sends Carroll back. He's at the wall, and the legend grows. Adolis Garcia wins game
1. My goodness, he's done it again. The Rangers are awaiting Adolis at home plate, and the Rangers have won it 6-5.
Courtesy of the baseball gods, the Rangers took the chance bestowed upon them and conquered their past ghosts in miraculous fashion, but also in poetic fashion. Before this game, the largest single WPA shift a Rangers hitter had ever produced in the playoffs was 42.6%. What was that hit? Josh Hamilton's 2-run home run in Game 6 of the 2011 World Series, a hit that was overshadowed an hour later. For years, this team's most clutch postseason hit stood as a reminder of what could have been. That was until 12 years later, when Corey Seager took that spot for himself, with Adolis Garcia right there with him. Also, after his walk-off home run, Garcia set the record for most RBIs in a single postseason, a record that was held by David Freese. For 12 years, the events of October 27th haunted this franchise. But with 2 swings, that narrative flipped, and now the Rangers were just 3 wins away from their coveted first championship. However, despite the deflating loss, the Diamondbacks weren't done fighting.
That's where the target is set for this 3-2. Hits it in the air to left center field. Tavares and Carter on the move. That ball is gone! And the Diamondbacks strike first in game 2. Shot to third and caught. Game 2 goes to the Diamondbacks in a resounding way, 9-1 to tie the series up.
The Diamondbacks' Game 2 win proved that even though the Hollywood ending was in sight, it wasn't set in stone. We'd be naive to think that we're going to run away with 4 in a row against a team that really fights hard like the same way we did. This Diamondbacks team operated differently than the Rangers' previous opponents. They were elusive, scrappy, and like the Rangers, they were writing their own underdog story. Also, for the Diamondbacks, the ending of Game 1 offered an intriguing parallel to their past. As pointed out by Jason Stark of The Athletic, only 2 games in World Series history ended with a game-tying home run in the 9th inning and a walk-off home run in extra innings. Game 1 in 2023 and Game 4 in 2001. Not only did the Diamondbacks lose this game, they lost games 3 through 5 all by 1 run. 2 of them with 2 outs in the 9th inning. "I've never seen anything like this," said Arizona pitcher Brian Anderson. 2 times with 2 outs in the 9th. "We could be celebrating a world championship right now. Instead, we're behind the 8 ball." Although, as heartbreaking as these losses were, the 2001 World Series is ultimately remembered for a different walk-off.
The chance of a lifetime for Luis Gonzalez. 2-2, bottom of the 9th, Game 7 of the World Series. Bases loaded. Floater, center field. The Diamondbacks are world champions.
The heartache stemming from games 3 through 5 vanished with a swing by Luis Gonzalez. No longer was this the series where the Diamondbacks crushed their own title hopes. It was the series where they ended a dynasty. Fast forward 22 years, the Rangers were seemingly on a path to victory following Game 1. However, as shown in 2001, nothing is a guarantee. The Rangers couldn't afford to watch their resilient journey sit as a footnote in someone else's story. No, not again. Fortunately, even with 3 road games ahead of them, there was no team better prepared for this precarious situation. As pointed out by MLB.com's Sarah Langs, the Rangers' 8-0 postseason road record matched only the 1996 Yankees, the team who destroyed the dreams of the first playoff team in Rangers history. The team didn't offer a unified explanation regarding this incredible feat, but there was a notable constant in many of these games. Within these 8 games, the Rangers scored first in 6 of them. To win so many games on the road, a team needs to thrive under pressure. I think Max Scherzer put it best ahead of his Game 3 start. You've got to match the moment. A lot of times, the notion that will be out there is kind of like, be subdued because the moment is so big. For me, I look at it the opposite way. You have to match the moment. Well, if there's anything we've learned about this incredible team, it's their ability to not only match the moment, but exceed it.
Bouncing ball left side. Young gets there. Goes to second run. On the first, a double play. Doubles on the first pitch of the second. First runner in scoring position in this game. It's for Tommy Pham. Sliders through to the right center field. That's a base hit. Stopped at third as Walker runs through the stop sign. Garcia guns him down. As Thomas bounces one off. Scherzer ricochets to Young. Big throw. Put a star on that. Lifted the left center field. Thomas on the move, not gonna get there. Marcus Semien finally comes through with a base hit to left center field. Rangers strike first in Game 3. Corey Seager smashes the ball down line. Goodbye. 3-0 Texas. base for Corey Seager, and boy, his home runs get out in a hurry. Strike three. He's fooled on a slider that was right in the heart of the plate. On the first pitch, smacks one to the ground. Seager gets there, out of his glove to second, in time at first. It is 3-1 Texas, and their closer, who has been awesome in this postseason, is on. Finishes off a 1-2-3 ninth. From losing 9-1 in Game 2 to winning 3-1 and retaking the lead in the series. Arizona was in this same exact situation in the National League Championship Series, down 2-1 with a bullpen game lined up, came back to win the series, and they find themselves down again. Simeon crushes a ball. Gurry out of the wall. Goodbye!
It's a 3-run shot, and the Rangers are in double figures at 10-0.
Fly, foul ground. That is caught by Lowe. And the Texas Rangers are 1 win away from their first World Championship.
Nothing is our score. Zach Gallen working on a no-hitter through 6.
Ground ball, base hit left field. Breaks up the no-hitter to start the 7th. Strike 3 and 1 gone in the 9th. Karl pops it up. Heim is back behind the plate. He's got it. And once again, the Rangers are 1 out away. In their 63rd season. It's hot! The Texas Rangers win the World Series!
You guys just wrote history in Texas.
Yes.
Congrats, world champions.
The last thing I went in on, my granddaughter Maddie she's on the parade. We're done with the parade. She goes, Papa, I'm going to do that again. I'm with her. I want to do this again. Let's go.
Everybody was wondering what would happen if the Rangers didn't win the World Series. I guess we'll never know.
Former Rangers co-owner Chuck Greenberg once called this team a sleeping giant, saying that it was just a matter of getting the right set of circumstances, the right ball club, the right personal touch in the front office, and the right timing. If we could put all of those things together, we could make magic. This quote was made back in October 2010, right before the team's first World Series appearance. It took another 13 years, but Greenberg was right. A magical run of broken records, historic moments, and sheer perseverance led to the Rangers' first championship. In fact, not only did they extend their unbeaten postseason road record to 11-0, they became only the 3rd team ever to win the World Series 2 years after a 100-loss season. However, most fans aren't going to reminisce on the numbers. Ultimately, it's the moments that last forever. The feeling of instant elation after Seager and Garcia hit their home runs in Game 1. the tense innings where pitchers got out of potentially season-altering jams, and of course, the moment when Josh Sborz struck out Ketel Marte to win the first championship in Texas Rangers history. A moment longtime Rangers broadcaster Eric Nadel waited over 40 years to call.
Sborz kicks and fires. He struck him out looking! It's over! The Rangers have won the World Series! Ranger fans, you're not dreaming! After 52 years in Texas, 63 years of the franchise, the wait is over, and the celebration has begun!
The emotion radiating from this once-in-a-lifetime call represented the feeling of every Rangers fan in this moment. From the people who became fans during the postseason to the people like Dallas resident Angelica Moya, who was bawling after the final pitch. The feeling of jubilation was all the same. Or as Max Scherzer called it, baseball nirvana. Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, the proclaimed pillars of this organization, among so many others, were sold on a vision that in just 2 years turned into a reality, bringing a World Series title to the Rangers. I won in LA. They hadn't won in 30 years, and I saw what it did to a fan base. When I found out they had never won here, that was something that intrigued me. To be able to start at the bottom and try and build something and compete. To be able to do it, it's really satisfying. As much as this was for the fans, a championship is the ultimate validation for a person who's dedicated their life just for the chance of playing in the pros. It's the pinnacle of success for this profession. Or as Jonah Heim put it, it's the best title you can get as an athlete, champion. Unfortunately, it's also a title that's eluded many great players due to factors beyond their control. The 2024 Rangers began their season with key injuries and roster holes that ownership was hesitant to address because of the uncertain future of their TV deal revenue after 2024. A revenue source that normally accounts for about 20% of industry revenues. As The Athletic's Jamie Newberg put it, they are, for the first time, the game's defending champions. But the chaos surrounding their broadcast rights makes sketching the blueprint to retool more challenging than it should be with a largely intact World Series roster. The future of this team is uncertain, but the motivation this team's foundation was built upon remains the same. We're sick of losing. The risky choice to expedite this team's rebuild process could have ended terribly, adding on to the many failures and missteps scattered throughout team history. However, in what was an unprecedented postseason run filled with unforgettable moments and impressive records, the Rangers not only proved the viability of their risky roster construction, they earned the title that's so desperately coveted by both players and fans alike: champions. As Tim Kurkjian said back in 2010, finally the Rangers are winning. To truly appreciate that, you had to be there for the losing.